as good as ever. Back then, Ding was just about starting school. Now, though, he's a formidable opponent.
It's ahead, your choice. Ding to break. Wait for the cue, Ding, please. Yeah. Wait for the cue. Okay. Okay. Ding. Yep.
Yes, we're okay. We're all set to start.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The first frame. Ding Junhui to break.
And I'm really looking forward to it. As you heard from Alan and Stephen Hendry, both really thinking that this could be the matchup that we've been waiting for, and by some margin they've been the two best players the whole week. I know that's obvious, but it doesn't always transpire that the two best players lock horns in the final.
Too right. One thing that tells you they have been the best is that both of these have made a century break, at least one century, in every match that they've been involved in.
He may be a little weary after last night, but I think as soon as the match starts, that'll all be gone. It was a typically monumental task to beat Mark Selby, and I think he did very well to do it after maybe some mental scarring, having lost in the last two World Championships to him in long matches. Last night just felt a little bit like that, didn't it, with Selby just battling every point. Ding was up to the challenge. Really impressed by how he did it.
Yes, you made a good point about a previous World Championship. Sometimes when the juices are flowing, fatigue is not a factor. And when you play O'Sullivan in a major final, the juices, let me tell you, really do flow. Especially with Ding holding O'Sullivan in such high regard.
Well, he didn't play it as a shot to nothing, for sure. He tried to knock it in and hold for a high value colour. This is not an easy opening red, whichever one he goes for. The one in the middle, the blue's not easy to get on with the red next to it either. Can't run it in onto the blue to the left middle very easily. But the pink will go. That will interest him.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 1.
Well, a bit surprised he missed, obviously. He's been starting matches so well.
In each of his last 2 rounds, Ding has been involved in a marathon first frame. Against Anthony McGill in the quarterfinals, it lasted 53 minutes. Last night was 48. He'd like to win this one decisively and sharpish.
Yes, he can just get through to the blue. No, the pink, rather. Yes, with enough angle to stun for that red. I don't think we can expect too many 40-plus minute frames in this match. I mean, you never quite know what you're going to get, but it would be rare with the players involved.
This process, when the pink spot and all of the other spots are occupied, always takes some time because the referee has to be so accurate.
Eight.
So,
Junhui, 8.
A little bit of nerviness from both players. Now we will Ronnie play on the black along the cushion. Try and get into play. The answer is yes.
1.
But again, you'll have to force this, and we're seeing not everything down the cushion go in with any pace this week. That's exactly what I'm saying. If he was dropping that in, he'd never miss it, but just catch the first jaw. And they don't drop. Still get people telling me these pockets are big. Maybe try playing on them. You might get a different view.
I get the same, Neil. You can't convince people, but honestly, folks, they are really tight. And in comparison with club tables, I think it's the middles that are most brutal. They are cut so harshly.
One.
And that didn't even go in cleanly.
3.
These two players have a wealth of experience of playing in big finals, but it doesn't mean they don't suffer from nerves.
There are several positives on which Ding can draw. He's beaten O'Sullivan in a ranking event final before. 2006 Northern Ireland Trophy.
6.
He beat O'Sullivan in last year's World Championship in the quarterfinals. And also, he's actually got a better strike rate in converting finals into titles. For him, in ranking finals, he's won 72.2% of them. O'Sullivan, 68.8%.
Eleven. 12.
Seems he's going to have to win this frame without the use of the black. I don't see him
70.
trying to get on it. We've seen O'Sullivan come unstuck doing that already. So he's likely to chip away at other colours. If he's playing on the pink here, it's just a question of, does the pink go on its own spot, and if so, will it be potable? Can't quite see from my commentary position. Because of course he'd like to have that at his disposal.
80.
And if, of course, there's a red on it, then it'll go onto the black spot, which would suit him. Well, it's okay. He didn't mean to flick the red on the way through. He just brushed into one of those. Now, Greg Caniglio here just will tell us either way. Yep, that's well and truly in Ding Junhui's favour.
Of course, with the time difference, it's prime time in China, so millions will be watching this. And we can't overstate just how popular both of these two players are in the People's Republic.
Eight. 39.
That's very nicely judged. Beautiful control.
45.
Which, of course, is an absolute feature of his game when he's at his best.
46.
Cue ball is on, as we said, a bit of string. Not a very long bit of string either. Now this is just the start he wanted. Would have hated
52.
to have allowed O'Sullivan to start in the way that he has done in many matches this season, just swamping a player early.
Okay. 53. Ding Junhui 53. And the frame.
The missed pink mattered not. O'Sullivan remains in his chair. First blood is drawn by Ding Junhui. Is an elite tournament. Well, it is an elite tournament. Well, it certainly produced an elite final. O'Sullivan against Ding. Doesn't get much better than that. Here's frame 2.
Yes, it's an elite tournament because it's the top 32 players on the season, which means that as great as this event is, the winner will be absolutely thrilled. £100,000 Players' Championship is for the top 16 on the season, which is in North Wales in a few weeks. It was a mighty thin
foul
shot. Had he hit it at all, he couldn't afford to hit it too thick and going off or similar. Ronnie is likely to have a dig at this long red here. I think he was very confident of the shot. Otherwise the cue ball wouldn't have been sent all the way round into bulk.
One. Junhui, 1.
Good cue ball. Tight under that ball cushion. Normally, hitting the bump of the middle pocket isn't recommended. In that instance, it wasn't too bad from O'Sullivan's perspective.
I don't think Ronnie's angled. He's quite close to that left jaw. And as you can see, he's got a clear path into the reds, albeit it's never been much fun playing from the jaws of a pocket. He's actually played it very well, I think. Better shot than it looked like. The red will no way go past the black, so from the point of view of leaving that one on, not the case. This one goes, though, if he fancies it, if he feels as though there's any value in it. That was a little clumsy from Ding.
Foul.
It was, but there's no evidence right now
Four.
that O'Sullivan is cueing overly well. He's missed a few what you call half chances that he's been absolutely devouring all week in his early days, and he's not quite in the zone yet. Big target in behind the brown. I was thinking that, and it's one thing knowing it's there, but another thing to execute the shot as well as Ding Junhui has done that one. if there's a way in behind the brown from over on the left here. I think that's what he's going to do. Just chip off this red left side before the middle pocket and in behind brown. I think his win against Yan Bingtao O'Sullivan earlier in the tournament, his safety was absolutely magnificent in that game, and he almost felt that he was just hanging on for some parts because he's playing an opponent who knocks everything in at long range, but you can't knock them in if you're not on anything. It's hard to see an attacking safety shot here. I don't know if he can get up that into that area of the table from where he is now. I don't think he can. Somewhere in where he's queuing isn't particularly threatening, but it's about all he's got, I think, on the safety shot. The double kiss stopped him going in off, but that's worse than the in off. Very subdued so far.
Yes, I think it's a slight concern, not a worry yet. He made a slow start against Maguire also in the semi-finals. But right from the moment he missed the pink off its spot in the first frame with the initial chance, ever since he's been prone to error. Of course, could spark to life at any moment, and if he does, he can win 4, 5, 6 frames in the blink of an eye. But Ding will be encouraged.
One. Junhui, one.
Ding, a very different player these days to the raw, uncut diamond that came onto the circuit when he won the 2005 China Open. Now he's patient, measured. And now he's in. I noticed quite a few times, 3 times at least actually, O'Sullivan's played a shot and his chalk has fallen onto the tape, onto the carpet. I don't know whether he's having any pocket problems.
One.
Well, that's actually played very well. Played it into an area where a number of reds were potable, and He's still got a choice of probably 3 you could play.
Nine.
Well, good news for Ding is that there's no early fireworks. The sting has been taken out at the start of this match a little. And he's very much settling better than Ronnie O'Sullivan. A very slow walk round to his shot. He knows he didn't play that
16.
overly well. Very difficult red that he's looking at here, the thin one to the right corner. I don't think he can even consider going for it. I think he's got to try and get in behind the brown again. It's not a good shot.
Junhui 16.
Again, overcooked. Cue ball in and out of balk.
Foul.
Well, that's a serious mistake. The
Ronnie
4
O'Sullivan,
points
4.
are not the issue. It's what is left. It's amazing how on the way back you've got a ball in the way like the green there. And they seem very wide targets if you're struggling to play safe.
1.
Oh, that's annoying for O'Sullivan. That's very poor. What's happening here? The last thing you want to do is have to play this yellow with the rest already. Recovery shot after 1 pot.
Three.
Better, but there's pressure on this one again. That was well struck.
4.
Yes, it's an old cliche, but there's a lot of truth in it that you never really feel in any match until you've got a frame on the board, however long the match is. I think Ronnie's in that position right here.
Ten. 11. Seventeen.
He's given Ding plenty of big occasion hurt in the past. 10-3, he won their final in the 2007 Masters, making 4 centuries, including a 1-4-3. When Ding made his debut at the Crucible in 2007, he played Ronnie in the first round. O'Sullivan beat him 10-2. And then the final of the 2014 Welsh Open, 9-3 that was to O'Sullivan, finishing off with a 1-4-7.
Yes, there aren't too many players on the tour, not a few battle scars when it comes to playing against this man.
33. 34. 41. $42.
One other runaway with a title at stake. O'Sullivan beat Ding 7-1 in the final of the Premier League in 2011. He owned that tournament. The king of the shot clock he was.
48.
People just jumped a little bit there. It was a minor kick which has made
49.
almost no difference to the shot. Check of the scores, so you'll see black, red and any colour will be sufficient. This was needed.
$56.
His first meaningful contribution
57.
in the match. He was left with a good chance. He immediately ran out of position on the first red. Doesn't use the rest very much. When he does, he's brilliant with it, actually. And he's not been in a lot of trouble ever since.
64.
And the cue ball swung all round the table here. Well, he won't be too concerned. This is more like it.
71. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 71 on the front.
Ding misjudged a safety. O'Sullivan with a break of 71. Title scores 1-1. Best of 19 frames this two-session final. 9 this afternoon, 10 this evening.
Foul.
Well, it was thin, but not quite as thin as he
O'Sullivan,
played it.
4.
Cue ball absolutely flew into the top left pocket. He's left Ronnie a typical cueing shot that so far in this match has not been going in. In fact, he's playing the other one to the middle. A little bit surprised he played that one, because he really had to bite into the cue ball there and get it to miss the bunch. And he missed it on the thick side as well, so it was always going to swing wider.
O'Sullivan here today could create some more history. He's never won 4 ranking titles in the same season. He's best was 2004-5 when he won the Grand Prix here, funnily enough, against Preston's own Ian McCulloch in the final. Then he won the Welsh Open and Irish Masters that season. But never before 4 in one campaign. Well, there, the in-off for Ding would have been preferable.
Yes, he might have done quite a bit of damage here. I mean, everything is set. Obviously, the black, if potted, might be a little awkward, but he doesn't worry about that right now.
1. Five. Six.
Well, he's on the blue. He's kind of naturally just drifting away from the reds a touch. So he's going to get past the box colours here. That's fine.
11. 12. Seventeen.
Well, the bottom red of the two that he's looking at would be the more attacking shot. He doesn't really have to go down that route if he doesn't want to. There's plenty of other reds scattered around in open play.
8.
I think he's probably taken the better approach here. He's not worrying about the black and the reds above it. Of course, they used to always say, well, you can't win a frame in one visit without the black being
20.
available, but it's proved to be nonsense. The skill that is involved at the top level might be playing on it this time. He's changed his mind once again.
24.
He's chipping away. This is the third time he's looked at this red. This time he's playing it.
13.
That's why he's such a great player.
38.
He's now got everything going for him.
13.
He was bridging slightly awkwardly.
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Nevertheless, that was unexpected.
Yes, he took an extra little bit of time on that. He was down on the shot for longer than he'd usually be. Suggests there was just something about it he wasn't happy with.
One.
couple of reds close to cushions, particularly the one that's
8.
uber awkward by the middle pocket, helping O'Sullivan at the moment, or at least hindering Ding. Immaterial though, and he didn't just miss that, he missed it by a distance. The red there caught the cushion rather than the jaw.
Well, once again overhitting. Cue ball drifting away from the reds.
Eight. 9.
There's quite a few mistakes being made here.
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
A lot of
9.
queuing shots. Sullivan has missed blacks off the spot into each pocket this frame. Both pockets. It's never been an easy shot when you're trying to screw it with your hand on the cushion rail. But it's one you expect him to get. I wonder if he has an angle to get that safe red out, the one that Phil mentioned here. Probably wasn't the shot, but it, as we were saying, is certainly going to hinder him later
8.
on. So far behind, he'll need that red. It wouldn't be an easy red to cannon out either, because he could push it beyond the middle bag. Worked out very nicely. Fine shot.
60. Seventh.
Big frame this, Neil. O'Sullivan would be mortified if he lost it, having missed 2 blocks off the spot.
It's going to be fascinating to see how he tries to move that red on the right cushion.
24.
So he may have a shot on the blue, but like I say, it'd be very easy to push it out and past the middle pocket. It's really tight against the rail. He couldn't play on the double or anything like that. It's going to take an immense amount of skill. Oh, it's a brilliant effort. It really is. The pace was perfect. It just was slightly ill-directed. I'll be in line with it, but it's a difficult shot. Oh, absolutely superb. Now it's really on.
Not happy. That little exchange, first getting the red out and then potting it, was absolutely top-notch.
Yes, problem you've got here is not only getting from yellow to green because you're going to cannon the brown, but he'd hate the brown to go onto a cushion in doing so. He needs it in the middle of the table somewhere.
You called it, Neil. You called it. So Ding 8 behind. That means he needs to clear to pink.
Doesn't have a great angle on this. I think he can just get round in behind the brown. And Sullivan will come back to the table.
Junhui 39.
Well, now it's one of those frames where whoever loses it is going to feel a little sick.
Yes, that's fine. And with the brown not near a cushion, it's not the easiest A to hit and B to keep safe.
Foul. A miss.
This is a real ticklish
Ronnie
one.
Sullivan, 4.
I mean, he may well play this, but it's not an easy one. He could always have it put back if he wanted to. Yeah, it's a great decision.
4.
I can think of players who might not have done that. Let Ding go back in there. As you saw, it was a tricky angle and awkward cueing.
This is frame ball.
Yes, he's kind of scrambled over the line here, which didn't seem likely when he got in first.
15. And the throw.
It wasn't spectacular by Ronnie O'Sullivan standards, but that brown was gutsy. So too the blue. O'Sullivan in front. 2 frames to 1. Convincing in the first frame. He's made a few mistakes since, but he leads 2-1 and now looking to kick on.
Yes, it's not been vintage from either player, and they're sort of almost jockeying for positions, it would seem. It'll warm up into a tremendous match, I'm sure of that. again, the one ball in the way on the way back to bulk is the one you hit full on. Every snooker player watching this will know exactly what that feels like.
One.
He's won an awful lot in the last few years, has Ding, but he hasn't won a ranking title on British soil since the 2012 Welsh Open.
7.
6 years for him. That's a really lengthy drought.
How does he get onto his colour for me is the problem, with the black obviously completely tied up. That's a good effort actually. The bottom red is the one that he could get through to. This is a thin black. Cue ball difficult to control as well. Well, that's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
Junhui 13. Ronnie O'Sullivan 7.
Well, for a split second there, O'Sullivan was relieved he wasn't on a red. Now he wishes he had been, because the red would have been his. Okay, he's got a tough one, but by far from a certainty this. Up into that distant ball pocket if he chooses to take it on.
Yes, we're not very good cueing either, because the red partly in the way of the cue ball. Very much a distraction on this shot. Played it well. He gave it every chance. By playing on the pink, didn't move the cue ball very far. So it could be an important little point of the match where Ding gets in and has bad fortune, which could take him 2 frames behind. I think when you play Ronnie O'Sullivan, you don't really need to have too much in the way of bad luck along the way.
Eight. $30. 40. $21. 22.
Thought it was okay initially.
29.
Then you could see the body language, concern as the cue ball hit the cushion, and he was right to be concerned. Overcooked it.
Yes, Phil, his usual silky touch is not quite there today. Oh, that's a fine recovery though. That will really make him feel better. Because if you can imagine if he'd have wobbled that, how frustrated he would have felt. It makes such a difference if someone like O'Sullivan very occasionally breaks down, but he can just pull out a pot. It's all about cueing.
Yeah, that red for me, the second best shot of the match. I think psychologically the brown he knocked in at the tail end of the previous frame. That was his best so far, and then that was his worst.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 35.
Well, I'm really surprised by this one. I mean, this is not difficult for O'Sullivan. I think he played it with right hand reverse side, hoping to get the cue ball out. That's all I can think of as to why he would have missed it.
One.
Now, unlike the third frame when Ding
8.
came to the table trying to erase a substantial deficit, the balls are sitting pretty. No obvious
9.
obstacle to a clearance.
Yes, I think that red up the table will pot to the top right pocket. I'm sure it goes beyond the green and brown.
50.
Otherwise it would be difficult to get on. Because as you can see, the yellow stopping it from the top left. Apart from that, you're right, there's absolutely
6.
nothing to worry about here, except for the situation itself. The fact that we're in a final, and it would be a nice frame to win, to pinch a little bit. And that earlier bad luck would not be
22.
of any relevance.
Twenty-three. Thirty. 31.
Well, a little bit in between.
36.
We'll play it to the middle pocket, but again, I think you have to cannon into the brown here. That's beautifully played.
37.
Very slowly, but very accurately. Don't think you could argue with this scoreline if it did go 2-2 at the mid-session interval. I think it would be par.
41.
And both players can certainly play better than they have.
43.
Yes, and if it is 2-2, I think the interval will come at a good time for O'Sullivan, who will be simmering after missing that red that no one could have foreseen.
.46.
Ding 17 ahead, so this most straightforward of browns is frame ball.
.55. 61.
The table has been set for a feast of snooker as the day progresses.
68 and a frame.
At the interval, it is Ding 2, O'Sullivan 2.
Amongst those mistakes, Sullivan missed a couple of blacks off the spot in the third frame, but nevertheless won it to lead 2-1 and seemed to be heading for 3-1 until he missed a very easy ball when 30 odd in front and let Ding in to clear up with 68 and 2-all.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say in those first 4 frames, both the players almost made more mistakes than they've made for the previous week. Certainly, I think that would go for Ronnie O'Sullivan. Nice opening long pot. Ding Junhui.
One.
I think for both players, I think if they just got in, possibly made a century break, it would just get them into the groove, as it were.
Ding Junhui. 1.
Ding wasn't able to stop the cue ball short of the baulk line, so had to content himself with the snooker.
Ding, the red to the left of the black. Ronnie might be tempted to play this to left middle. It's a shot to nothing. A bit careless from Ding Junhui. It's there. Very, very careless. Wonderful shot. Control the cue ball, went into the pack and keeping the cue ball in the middle of the table.
I'm pretty sure that O'Sullivan didn't intend to get on the cue ball, didn't intend to get on the black that side, but he's perfectly okay as he's so good left-handed.
Got a choice of 2 reds.
60.
One's a right middle, one's a right corner. Well, that's a sign for me. Ronnie O'Sullivan is not that confident. He's not feeling too good in this match. Because the other red
70.
forwarded position on the black. He played the easier pot.
$90. 20.
Well, if you hadn't seen the first 4 frames, normally you would just take it for granted this is virtually frame over.
25.
When Sullivan's got the balls in this position.
Six. $33. 34.
Got a little bit of a springy bounce of the cushion there. The
40.
cue ball didn't go on the natural path up the table after making contact with the cushion.
42.
Could we be about to see the first century break of this final? Kind of surprised there hasn't been one so far. Two of the best break builders in the game are watching here.
$49.
Ronnie just had to cut short his pace
50.
there. The referee didn't get out of the way in time.
Greg Caniglio is the referee. Refereeing his 4th world ranking final.
57. 58. 65. 66.
O'Sullivan sure of a 3-2 lead.
73. 74.
And just wants to nail down the 931st century of his career. He has said that he would like to reach the 1,000.
81. 82.
And at the present rate of progress, he certainly should. Particularly as there are so many tournaments these days.
89.
Yeah, if he keeps up the form for the rest of the season, the amount of
90.
tournaments still left, I expect him to get very close to that 100 mark.
$97. 98.
He's on 57 centuries for the season, or he will be. Now that he's potted that point. $106. So this time, once he got in, there was no unexpected slip-up.
$109. 113. 180. 181. 124.
With trademark fluency. O'Sullivan
124.
clears with
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
124. He actually went in off the black, but of course it didn't matter. He leads.
IQ frame 6. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
Ronnie O'Sullivan breaks off, having made the first century break of this final, but it's not a good break off. Will that century break spark a barrage of big breaks in this second session?
Not like that. There's been some easy balls missed. That's probably the easiest.
Momentum plays a big part in long frame matches. This could be the time where it's very much with Ronnie O'Sullivan. Could be sensing it's his maybe a chance to open up a big lead before tonight's session.
Five. Six.
He's overrun his position. And he's
8.
furious with himself.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 8.
Played the double with a shot to nothing. Wouldn't have left anything if the red hadn't gone in.
Lovely positional shot played with screw
8.
and lots of right hand side. There's a couple of reds available to the left middle, but I think ideally we'd like a nice angle on the black to be able to go into the bunch here. That's pretty good. You could even,
9.
the 3 reds above the black, you could can on the right hand side, one of them would leave a red to left corner, or can on the left hand side of the 3 to leave a red to the right corner. So he's got options. I don't think he'll play with pace actually into the main bunch. Just be a little cannon. Now this is going to be an aggressive shot. It's not an easy pot, it's a blind pot, which means when he
60.
lines up to the red, his eye line, the pocket won't be in his eye line. So these are missable. Position isn't automatic. As you can see, he's just pointing his cue, the path where the cue ball will be going into the red, so could cost him the frame if he misses this. And he missed it by the proverbial mile.
Ding Junhui, 16.
Very poor effort, that one.
This is a tricky shot. Had to elevate the cue to get backspin and avoid the push shot.
Eight. Nine.
Like all great players, O'Sullivan is a great predator. I think he may have sensed a sign of weakness in his opponent, with that last shot particularly.
Yeah, I think it's a big
60.
thing in all individual sports, spotting weaknesses in your opponent and pouncing.
70.
Sense a bit of unease between Ronnie O'Sullivan and the referee at the moment, Clive. Just get that feeling.
24.
Well, maybe Greg
25.
D'Onofrio's been a little bit slow in replacing the balls, and as we all know, O'Sullivan likes to play at a brisk pace.
32.
O'Sullivan was scathing
33.
indeed in his criticism of another referee after last season's Masters semi-final, and got into trouble with the strength of his remarks.
40. 41.
Anyway, he's proceeding pretty smoothly in this effort.
He's
48.
frustrated with his cue ball, Ronnie O'Sullivan. Okay, he's still going to win the frame in one visit.
40.
He's still making the breaks, but it's not the actual string that he normally expects.
$52.
But this is a big time in this final for Ding Junhui coming up. He has to stop this, 'cause it could
53.
get serious.
$59. 60. $67. 68.
So as expected, O'Sullivan has punished Ding's mistake by winning the frame from it.
Well, we've got a mix-up somewhere with the score, because the score that the break,
54.
score of the break that the referee is calling is not the same that's on the scoreboard.
75.
Doesn't matter. Frame's over, but Someone's made a mistake at some stage.
Nine.
Well, either way, there are enough balls
81.
left for O'Sullivan to complete another century.
$84. $88. $93. $99.
Centuries in consecutive frames then, 131 and 106. Ronnie O'Sullivan leads Junhui by 4 frames to 2. In the break between frames that he had miscounted towards the end of O'Sullivan's century in the last frame. It was 105 rather than 106. Although once you've made a mistake and the frame carries on, the mistake is condoned, it stands. So O'Sullivan picking up momentum.
Five. Six.
We all know how well O'Sullivan can play, how irresistibly he can play.
11.
He gets into overdrive,
12.
as he did against Zhao Guodong in the second round here, making 4 centuries in 5 frames.
$90.
Bit of a problem here in that the cannon on the red there makes the black untottable to the left corner.
$20.
Wow. That was magnificent. Shot of the day so far for me. Yeah, Ding's been on the wrong end of a few heavy losses from Ronnie O'Sullivan in the past in long frame matches. He knows what's beginning to happen. Ronnie O'Sullivan is the best front runner in the game. Again, though, just a slight irritation. He missed one of these earlier on, having to bridge over. Missed it to the left-hand jaw, which means a slight deceleration. Safely in. Didn't have to play that one with as much pace as the previous black he missed.
35.
Oh, we got a massive kick there.
36.
Massive kick.
Which is going to rob him of the chance to make a 3rd consecutive century.
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Well, at
36.
first glance, I thought it was a kick because what the reaction from the cue ball, but Ronnie's reaction seems to think it was a bad shot.
Talking of heavy defeats, Ding was beaten 10-3 by O'Sullivan in the 2007 Masters final. In fact, a combination of taking such a hammering and getting some abuse from a section of the crowd reduced Ding to tears, and O'Sullivan very nicely put an arm around him. Otherwise, I don't think Ding wanted to come out for the last frame, and that was followed by a 10-2 defeat in the World Championship at the Crucible a few months later. So it took Ding a while to actually do himself justice against O'Sullivan.
Well, this is very, very risky.
Well, some element of safety, I guess. Screwing back and getting the cue ball over the right-hand side of the table, but not much.
One.
Definitely a sign of weakness for me, that last shot from Ding Junhui. He showed last night against Mark Selby how patient he can be in finding the right safety shot.
O'Sullivan was bridging somewhat awkwardly.
Ronnie O'Sullivan. One.
So, Ding's wild or ultra ambitious shot isn't going to cost him that much.
Well, Ding doesn't need me to tell him how important this visit to the table is in the context of this final.
One. Eight.
Very poor shot.
Nine.
Well, he's blaming a big bounce off the cushion, but I'm afraid that was just
Yellow ball.
clumsy. He's lost the plot a bit at the moment, Ding Junhui. He needs to get his composure
Foul.
back quickly, or he could lose this final this afternoon.
Junhui 9. Ronnie O'Sullivan 4.
It's still comparatively early in the match. It's only 4-2. No need to panic yet. But it appears that he has.
I have to say the table looks awful at the moment. The cushions are bouncing all over the place. And that red should never been anywhere near the middle pocket.
Five. Six.
So, despite highly debatable shot choices and one very careless loss of position, Ding is still very much in this frame.
11. 12. 90. 20.
Now comes the more difficult part. Not good.
26. 26.
Lost position, but back up to only 6 behind. Stunning long red from O'Sullivan though.
Yeah, but again, another poor safety shot from Junhui. His safety play last night was just excellent against Mark Selby. As I said, he's completely lost focus. And you're right, Clive, the long pot was just phenomenal. Cueing. Ronnie's just working out. He's going to lay a snooker here. He wants to block out the left-hand side of the table for the escape.
Ronnie O'Sullivan. 1.
Don't think he has done. Yeah, good shot.
Poor shot from O'Sullivan. Didn't mean to cannon the black.
1.
It was a pretty decent opening red from Junhui, considering how he's played in this frame. And considering how probably he's feeling inside. And again, that wasn't... Just seemed to get
3.
down very quickly to play the yellow there. He had a pink into the right middle. Okay, it was a tougher shot, but at least the position would have been automatic.
In Junhui, 3.
If O'Sullivan could win this frame, he would be sure of a lead of some sort going into this evening's final session. What's more, if he did make it 5-2, it would give him the impetus to take a big lead into the last session.
Chance he could get the snooker back here, O'Sullivan. Leave the cue ball behind the black. I didn't expect him to miss the yellow though.
Foul.
That's very careless.
Miss. And a 3 ball. In Junhui, 4.
Which means that Ding can nominate any colour
Brown ball.
as an extra yellow.
Two. Four.
Well, this is a shot you would think. It's the last remaining difficult pot. Safely in.
7.
So a big frame this has been for Ding Junhui. He started to look very fragile mentally for the first time in this tournament, has to be said.
11.
So this is frame ball.
Six in.
And somehow
22. And the frame.
Ding has pulled up to only 1 behind. He still trails though, 4-3. Here
Ronnie
at Preston.
O'Sullivan.
O'Sullivan going for his 32nd world ranking title in the same great venue that he won his first, the UK Championship, a week short of his 18th birthday.
Foul. And a miss.
Well, it looked
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4.
like it was going to leave Ronnie a sitter to start, but his cue ball just bounced an inch or two to make this a tricky little shot.
It was tricky, but I didn't expect Sullivan to play the cue ball into baulk. It wouldn't have been properly on a colour even if he'd potted it. Although, of course, if he had potted it, it would have been a slightly thicker contact.
I actually think both players have been affected by the way the table's reacting at the moment, Clive. The cushions, especially this black cushion, is almost becoming unplayable, even to players as skillful as this.
One.
Good long red from Ding. And from a friendly angle on the yellow.
3.
Another slack positional shot. You want an angle in the blue to come down for a red further down the table. He's got a red to the right of the pink. And this is tough now. This needs very good cueing. I don't know if the pink's available to the left middle. She just put a stun on the red. Well, he's got a plant. That makes things a lot easier. That makes things a lot easier.
10.
Red going over the corner pocket is more or less forced Ding into
Blue ball.
taking this blue on. He wouldn't be playing this otherwise. Oh, brilliant. It's an even better shot because his state of mind couldn't have been ideal.
50. 60. $21.
Oh, well onto the near jaw.
21.
Again, frustration. It was a tricky shot to take on. Knew he was leaving this red. Game was an aggressive shot.
One.
Cueing impeded for his preferred ball, the blue.
5. 6. 11. 12.
Nice little shot. Stun for the pink. And a chance to bring some more reds into play. It's not worked out. I think we'll get Ronnie's reaction.
18.
Very frustrated with the outcome of that shot. And that was
Right,
another
also
symptom of
8.
his frustration. I think in a better mood he would have played a safety into baulk. So O'Sullivan's inability to contain his frustration has led to Ding getting in.
8.
It's like a battle of the tempers at the moment, Clive, isn't it? who can keep hold of the temper the most?
9.
Both players showing anger and frustration. Wow, he's walking around the table. I don't know. He's on this
16.
red of sorts to the left corner. I can't see. I know. See how he's even going to get to it. And even if he can, what position is he going to get?
That was an incredibly tough spider shot.
16.
He was within a roll of pulling it off. If he had managed to pop the red, he would probably have gone on to take the frame. As it is, O'Sullivan is now favourite to go 5-3 up, even though he's still a few points behind.
Eight. 9. 60. 70. 22. 23. $29.
Not 100% satisfied with his last positional shot.
Third.
So having
35.
to negotiate in and out of bulk. Wouldn't expect it to be a problem in between green and brown twice.
36.
So it looks like, as you said, Clive, Ronnie O'Sullivan is the one that's going to be guaranteed
29.
a lead going into the second session. One more frame to play this afternoon.
41.
Either going to be 5-3 or 6-3 ahead.
Well, nobody likes spiders, and Ding particularly in this context, because a particularly nasty spider shot has cost him this frame.
Sorry, I made an error there. Either
44.
5-4 or 6-3 ahead. Guaranteed for O'Sullivan now.
48. $53. $59.
Ding missed a particularly tricky shot with the spider. O'Sullivan cleared with 59 to the pink and has extended his lead to 5-3. What? Yeah. I thought he might have done a Michael Holt.
Thank you. The final frame of this session. Ding Junhui to break.
So this is the frame that defines the afternoon's work for these players. At its conclusion, O'Sullivan will be either 6-3 up or only 5-4. Forced into a safety error.
One. Eight. Nine.
I think this was a, or it still is obviously, a long way to go in this frame, but I think it's
40.
obviously far more important for Ding Junhui to win than Ronnie O'Sullivan.
50.
Ronnie was to have a 6-3 lead going into tonight. It's not very often you see him give up those leads. Fantastic front runner. But it's not been the
Right.
classic that I expected so far.
No, there have been some good things. Sullivan's back-to-back centuries, 131 and 105. But also some very surprising errors and quite a few flashes of irritation from both players, either with springy bounces or their own shortcomings.
$29. C4. 35.
I think one thing that O'Sullivan has become better at with age
40.
is overcoming frustration. When he was quite a bit younger, sometimes used to destroy his performance. Giving vent to his
41.
frustration just made him worse. Much more disciplined these days.
$48. 49. $56. 57. 64. 65.
Well, you wouldn't bet against Ronnie making his 3rd century of this first session. It's the 3-frame
72.
gappage opened up going into tonight's
70.
session.
$80. 81.
Yeah, we talked about it not being a classic, and people might say, well, look, Ronnie O'Sullivan, you know, he's made 3 centuries, but this stuff around the black, it's really, this is bread and butter stuff to Ronnie O'Sullivan.
$88.
But he's giving his opponent a lot to think
89.
about going into tonight's session. Junhui's got to come out tonight and win, you would think, 3 of the first 4 frames to have any chance.
94. 95.
'Sullivan's 3rd century
100.
of the afternoon, in a session in which he's had
101.
several off-key moments, but has nevertheless built up a very useful advantage for this evening.
106. 108. 111. 115. 120.
Well, I'm sure he could have made a total clearance if he concentrated. But the break of 120, nevertheless, good.
Fine players. The venue absolutely crammed. Everything set fair. But you have to say, Ding with an awful lot of work to do. O'Sullivan is the man in command at the start of the second and concluding session of this, the Ladbrokes World Grand Prix.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Frame 10. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
Yes, and Ronnie O'Sullivan was not at his best this afternoon, but sheer weight of scoring eventually took him away, right away from Ding Junhui. 3 centuries. Probably doesn't quite tell you how he played, because he missed quite a lot of shots. But in amongst it, there was that powerhouse scoring, break building that we see from him all the time. A good shot from Ding, 2 cushions. First go. Sometimes players take 2 or 3 efforts to get that shot bang on. I do believe that Ding will have to come out very quickly tonight, because within half an hour this match could be put right beyond him if O'Sullivan gets motoring again.
And the worrying aspect for Ding is that on all 3 occasions O'Sullivan's beaten him in a final, it's been by a heavy, heavy margin. 10-3, 2007 Masters, 7-1, 2011 Premier League, 9-3, 2014 Welsh Open.
Foul.
It never seemed to stop
Junhui,
rolling,
4.
that ball. I thought it was going to finish short, but it went on and on. Yes, well, they have to start going in those shots, especially leaving O'Sullivan more than tempting reds like the one he's faced with near his hand at the moment. Well, the shot here could be the red, obviously, to the right of the table, and he may think about playing a cannon on the red to the left of the black. If he could manage that, then he could be in. I think that's what he's looking at now. Not an easy shot. It's a 2-way shot. And it's gone the other way. And could hardly have played it better. I think he probably felt that the cannon would have to be full ball. If it was anything but, and then he wouldn't be on the black. And Ronnie O'Sullivan looks at a shot as long as this. He's really trying to work out the best line of attack to get the black on its spot, to get everything open down there. Usually he sees the shot instinctively very quickly. And right in the middle of the bunch goes the left corner.
6.
Well, it's unusual. Lots of head shaking. If he could come in high up from the black, maybe he would be looking at kissing a red or two away from the black spot. He's only one key shot away from being right in. I'm sure
7.
there's a little cannon in the offing. He might be on the red through the gap here. That would be lucky.
40.
He didn't know much about it. He's on that. And the black goes to the opposite corner.
When it comes to braid building, O'Sullivan doesn't really need bonuses, but this really is a bonus.
50.
Anything but straight on this red, and I think
22.
straight is exactly what he has got in front of him. That's no good. That's a good effort.
23.
There simply was not enough angle to play with. The break will end here. It's a great shot. I've not seen him quite so uncertain in amongst them. It must be a very complicated layout of the reds around the black spot there.
But what a way to finish. Anyone who's played this game knows that that kind of drop in snooker behind the yellow, you have to make perfect contact in terms of pace and line on the brown, and that's what he did.
Oh no. It wasn't a very big target actually. Usually you've got a 4 or 5 red target to just nestle into. There's one red in front of the others. And he just hit it half ball.
One.
The extreme force was to manufacture the angle, and he's achieved that very nicely indeed.
Yeah, it's just off straight actually. I wonder if he's got more than one way of getting on a red here. Direct screw back, or maybe could land on the red at the bottom of the bunch. And there's a very slight angle. Again, it might take a bit of pace though on it. That's okay.
Well, already he looks more
7.
focused to me than he did certainly early in the session this afternoon.
8.
We know he's trying to win his 32nd world ranking title this evening, which is 4 short of the record 36 of Stephen Hendry. What would be remarkable if he did prevail tonight, it would be the 16th different world ranking tournament in which his name would appear
50.
on the trophy.
Win or lose tonight, it was
6.
a time filled one. I didn't think he'd ever get to Hendry's 36, but I now think it will be a big shock if he didn't, because he's playing too well, and he has done over a sustained period.
Yes, I always thought Hendry's record, like you, Neil, was pretty much impregnable. Not so now.
23. $24.
The other byproduct of a victory here tonight would mean that with £100,000 first prize, O'Sullivan would be basically guaranteed
30.
to have, at the age of 42, his most lucrative season ever in terms of prize money. It's remarkable what he's doing.
$31.
Yeah, this frame has required quite an intense period of concentration for O'Sullivan, but it's working.
28.
And any colour here means he's already another frame in front.
39.
Does he go into the bunch still? Probably. He won't be too concerned that he's missed the pack there, because his main priority was always the pot, and 2
46.
snookers are required. So he'll live with that.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 46.
Two visits, okay, but the perfect frame. 23, laid a cracking snooker, and from the chance created, tidied up.
Yes, and if you remember, he actually potted one cracking long red and went in off, and Ding had his only opportunity, a red at length, which he wobbled. So that was the best thing that came his way in that frame.
Seven.
I mentioned earlier that English professional
8.
English Open victory against Kyron Wilson, where he led 6-2 in Barnsley at the start of the session into the evening. And of course Kyron Wilson had an outside chance, but he absolutely
15.
buried Kyron Wilson in the evening session, played
60.
wonderfully. So he's not frightened to go away and win by a wide margin. He's always been a very good front runner, Phil, hasn't he?
23.
He's a very good everything
24.
when it comes to snooker.
A wonderful cue in that shot. I know the frame's over, but he really...
Good.
That cue ball was guided around the table for the yellow. No, this is
32.
very, very good. Everything this afternoon wasn't actually, especially at the beginning, when balls were being missed in the first frame all over
35.
the shop.
No.
Fully agreed, Neil, and yet his pot success rate in 10 frames,
44.
94%. Breaks of 46, 44. The O'Sullivan juggernaut continues to roll on.
IQ frame 11. Ding Junhui to break.
The Preston Guildhall has been very kind to Ronnie O'Sullivan over the years. Some wonderful memories he has of this place. Tried to win his 4th ranking title at this venue here tonight. It all started for him as a 17-year-old when he won the UK Championship in 1993. The youngest ever winner of a world ranking event then, and he remains so. 25 years on, he's as good as ever. In my opinion, even better.
Another brilliant pot. You're right, he's got everything. He's got absolutely everything, because what he didn't have back then was a particularly good safety or tactical game. And that obviously comes with experience. You're not just born with that. And we saw it in the last frame when he broke down and put Ding in behind the yellow.
8.
When his long game's also functioning, then really it becomes extremely difficult to beat.
No.
He's not won this yet, but he's kind of going to form. He came in here as the #1 seed. And if you're wondering why Selby wasn't the #1 seed, this tournament is for the top 32 players on this season alone. And of course, Ronnie's miles clear of everybody.
14.
So he was seeded to win it. He may well go on to do that.
50.
He's definitely going to be #1 seed for the upcoming Players' Championship in Llandudno.
T2.
Yes, and it'll be very difficult to beat.
23.
Amongst other reasons, we don't start with best of 7 there. It's best of 11 from the outset, which means that the better the player, the better the chance of winning, I guess.
30. 31.
Well, that surprises
36.
almost everybody, I think, in here, that he's overrun to the extent he has. He's got a wonderful touch, and he looked to be getting it all back. That red, he's just discovered that it goes. Yep, there was nothing to stop it, actually. It was a full pocket.
27.
And Ronnie only found out about it when his intended shot became unavailable.
Had a little bit of positional luck in the first frame of the evening as well. When he's playing beautiful snooker as he is now, and he's having a little bit of run on top of it, you might as well turn out the lights and go home. That seemed to be a slightly dull contact, though, in fairness to him.
Well, he comes round quickly to see if the pink is available. It's the only hope of keeping the break going. That looks very tight. And I can't believe that goes. The red is covering the potting angle. But even that, okay, he's broken down. Look at the safety shot he's played. Absolutely watertight. By a long way, his second option. I think he's not getting a chance. It's twice he's played that shot tonight, and both times to perfection.
The other clever aspect of O'Sullivan's safety shot on the green is that he's knocked the green safe. Should Ding get a chance to maybe clear up. When you're 40 in front, putting a colour safe is definitely the right way to go.
Very well done. We really would have liked a nudge on something. A beautiful shot, because the pot and the cue ball coming out of the bunch without hitting one was very well judged. That was very good play from Ding Junhui. If he's going to turn this around, he's got to continue to pot those. He saw a gap here in the bunch. Slight moral victory for Ding Junhui there, just the last couple of shots. Well, they go for this, red that he's close to.
just not happening for Asia's number one. This match for me turned in frame 5 when O'Sullivan knocked in a cracking red to that same pocket at a really acute angle, went on to make a century, and ever since he's been in total command. And the opening red there was no bargain either.
6. Seven.
Ding Junhui's potted one ball tonight. That was that brilliant red a few moments ago.
50.
Couldn't follow it up with the one that he was close to. And it's another frame that is gone. The match feels like it's gone as well.
22. 23. Thirty. 31.
You can't help but savour what he does.
38.
He's not going to be around
13.
forever, is he, Neil? Now that he's still here, still at the peak of his powers, just enjoy.
No, he's not going to be around forever, but about 2011, before he won the world title again, you might have thought that you'd seen the best of him. I don't think I'd have been alone in thinking that. We were all wrong. In a way, the best is yet to come.
Foul. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 39.
That wasn't it.
But
But it mattered not in the slightest.
Frame, Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Ronnie O'Sullivan is now 2 frames away from being Ladbrokes World Grand Prix champion.
Thank you, frame 12. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
You have to think that glittering piece of silverware is heading towards the expansive trophy cabinet that's in the home of
Give it a white with a cloth.
Ronnie O'Sullivan. Not happy with the cue ball,
Change
though.
it.
The referee, Greg Caniglio,
Change it, didn't you?
asking O'Sullivan if he wants to change the white.
Pink. Should we change that? Go, get a white one.
Yes, it might have been a little chip out of it or something not right about it. We don't see that very often. There will be plenty more somewhere. So,
Just asking for another white ball out of the office.
so we're just waiting for another one to come. Maybe a mark on it. And of course, if you do see something in your line of view on the cue ball, a mark that cannot be got off, then it can distract certain players.
Unusual to see that kind of thing happening, but it does crop up now and again. And the ball's now so uniform that it doesn't really matter, does it, when you change the white? You know that the next one they bring out will react exactly the same.
Well, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? But yes, I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. I don't know what Ding Junhui's got to do to get back into this game, because he's been basically wearing out the carpet at the bulk end, because that's where he's playing all his shots from. Certainly tonight, he's not really had many chances. He had one red in that frame that he missed. And chances are very scarce, and you've got to take them whenever they come along.
Frame 12. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
So we've got Michael White and Jimmy White on the tour, and now we've got 2 whites in this final. for those of you who are hoping for a very close finish. What's happening with Ding's game so far in this session does not augur well. He looks all at sea. Missed that by a mile. Okay, he's not having quality table time either. That doesn't help.
1.
But right now, Neil, you can't envisage a comeback.
No, you could have kind of seen this happening. It was a long lead, which when he took in, it was probably a bigger lead than the match on balance reflected. Neither player was at their best. Ronnie started to score eventually. And 3 frames felt big. And of course 5, even bigger.
No.
No obvious sign of him letting up. He's played better tonight than he did this afternoon.
In the 12th frame of the 2014 Welsh Open, Ronnie O'Sullivan made a 147 break against Ding. This is the 12th frame here. Just saying. It's over now.
Well, it's a funny shot that, because he actually hit it into the left side of the pocket, which I thought would
24.
swing the cue ball wider and further, but it didn't. It actually stopped very quickly all the same. A nice recovery. Not enough to stop him, the previous shot. Wow, the noise that made. Dropped his chalk as well as he did a few times this afternoon, but he's crunching them in. And that bunch has been opened right up again.
$31.
Yes, dropping his chalk is about the only mistake he's making at the moment.
$38. $39. $46.
Okay, well, not a frame winner, which a lot of people in this Guild tonight might have felt was about to happen. It was a difficult cutback. It was probably the couple of shots before which is the reason he didn't continue the break. Hit that very well, Ding. Cue ball zipped back.
Well, when O'Sullivan ran out of position before, it was because the cue ball zipped back. So did the white off the black there.
$9. $16.
Oh dear.
Ding Junhui, 16.
It was just off straight. He wanted a bit more angle, and he almost gave himself more angle to the detriment of the actual pot itself. He's furious. I think more with frustration. I didn't think last night's late finish would make any difference. I have to say, it's taken the edge off his game, in my opinion. I don't know if he'd have won anyway, but he hasn't played very well today.
Well, forehead against wooden cushion rail equals no contest. Only one winner there. The brow is red. Not surprised.
8. Nine.
Red colour,
60.
red is all he needs.
$70.
He's got to keep ploughing on. He's annoyed with himself that it's straight. Setting himself very high standards, but he's about to go 9-3 up in the first of 10 final of a huge tournament, so he shouldn't be too
24.
disappointed with himself. And that's another frame one.
25.
Gets to the point, I think, when in a long match like this, when a player is so far ahead, it's almost that both players want it over with. Ding will try his best, but there's a part of him that probably, he's looking for the door now. And that's only to be expected. It's human nature when you're this far behind. It's demoralising.
27.
One-way traffic
35.
as a snooker Rolls Royce goes down a trophy road.
36.
This evening, 5 breaks over 40, 1 over 30.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 43. And the frame.
All Ronnie O'Sullivan. The lead is now 9-3. The requirement, one more frame to be crowned champion.
It doesn't look as if the end is going to be
Thank you,
long
frame
delayed.
13. Ding Junhui to break.
Ding Junhui trailed 6-3 at the interval. His only real hope was to put together 2 quick frames at the start of the evening session, but in fact the opposite happened. So at 9-3, it's all over, bar the formalities.
Yes, what might be left is as to whether it gets to the mid-session interval, which if Ding won it would be after this frame. If Ronnie wins, it's game over.
One.
Of course, any professional has his pride of performance, but it's really hard when you have no realistic prospect of winning. You just want to put the best scoreline on that you can.
Well, that's often underlined by many of the best of 25 frame 3-session matches at the Crucible, where a player is so far behind he almost gives up the ghost. Matches will be over with a session to spare. He's played well this week, Ding. I'm pleased to see him playing better.
5.
But not so much today, in fairness.
Well, concentrating on position,
Ding Junhui.
but the
5.
pot itself was pretty easy. You can't help but feel that Ding's mental resources were severely depleted by his very long semi-final against Mark Selby last evening. 4 hours 40 minutes of that, 41.65.
What he's just done there, Clive, is what he's been doing all the way through this tremendous tournament this week here at the Guildhall. His safety has been quite magnificent at times. He already knew he could play safe, but some of the trouble he's got his opponents in. Go back to that match with Yan Bingtao, who was a very much up-and-coming player. He tied him in knots, and he had to, because that was the most difficult of the matches he's faced.
In fact, O'Sullivan only came through 4-3.
That's not what he would have played. I can absolutely guarantee that he played into the left of the bunch, and it was pushing squared up considerably. He got a clap, but it wasn't the shot he tried.
Junhui 4.
Well, that was unexpected. He's trying his hardest, but they won't go in.
It's been a very frustrating day for him. I think in some ways this evening is probably even more frustrating, because 4 or 5 of those he's got very close to, and they all wriggled and stayed out. Such is the fine margins between success and failure at snooker. He's looking at the 2 reds at the bottom of the bunch. There's one in the middle as well. Those 2 reds, I think he's looking at for his next shot. They definitely go. The bottom one will certainly go. Doesn't have to play a cannon here. May not be a full pocket, but I think it goes into the middle of the pocket. You can see a perfect demonstration. That is on, especially from as close to it as he is.
8.
No doubt about it in my mind.
9.
Comfortably went.
It would be nice if O'Sullivan could round off his victory with his
50.
11th century of the tournament.
$60.
He made 12 in winning the English Open back in October. And that was a tournament involving 7 rounds. This
23.
one was of only 5 rounds.
24.
Yes, and he'll going to the next phase of this series, if you like. The Players' Championship in Llandudno is a very warm
31.
favourite. Saying earlier on, Clive, you've got the slightly riskier
32.
best of 7s to start with, his long matches. Best of 11s from the outset, 16 of the world's best players. And the man we're watching is the man they've all got to fear.
$29.
The green is just something that might interest him. It's an easier pot than the black. The cue ball is not under complete control, but it's a backup shot. He's played it well. He has controlled the cue ball, though. That's beautiful. What a recovery that is.
Still on the trail of century number 934.
Cue.
As he intends to make further progress towards the 1,000, which he's expressed the ambition of achieving.
There's a great area to land in after that green, right in the middle, choice of reds. And he's played better
44.
this week and this season than he has in this final, but it's an overwhelming success all the same.
We did see spasmodic excellence from O'Sullivan this afternoon.
51.
He made 3 centuries.
52.
But it wasn't consistent excellence. Not like that he showed in the English Open final, when he missed only 6 pots all day in beating Karen Wilson 9-2.
That last black was the final piece of the jigsaw. Landing behind the red. What a great player.
$67. 68.
There's a first prize of £100,000 awaiting him, to add to the 558,000 he's already amassed this
75.
season. With several
76.
big money tournaments to come, he could well become the first snooker player to earn £1 million in prize money in a single season.
82.
That would be beating Mark Selby's record of 932,000
83.
and odd.
He could make a century here because the natural angle is into the red from this black. Not to be.
No century, but this evening's a ruthlessly efficient display, converting the 6-3 interval lead into a 10-3 victory. What a player, what a player. It's his 32nd world ranking title, and now he's only 4 behind Stephen Henry's all-time record of 36.
Yes, and look at the joy. His friends are out there with him. His little group of followers.